film, dude. Come on then. Come on. Right, sit down. Okay. Hello everyone. I don't know why I waved. There's no one here. Not everyone. Well, you guys watching. Welcome to another episode of React. This week we're doing unironed t-shirts. No, this week we're doing Psych, as sponsored by Doggos. And for those fans of Psych, you will know that no episode would be complete without coffee and dogs. So with that, on with the game. We're doing Weekend Warriors, Season 1, Episode 6.
Okay. Either that guy is a phenomenal actor, or he's dead.
Gotta do it for the theme tune. Just don't have any clue what you want. And the scene we're looking at in particular, if I skip to it, it's at 10:05. Now for those of you that don't watch Psych, a brief rundown of why are you not watching Psych? Go and watch all 8 seasons right now. You got like 15 minutes. Never mind. So yeah, for those of you that don't know, he's basically a guy that uses his phenomenal memory powers and observational skills and his rationalizing processes to seem like he's psychic. Okay, I've always intimated myself that if Sherlock didn't explain so much about his processes, he could give off that same impression. So here we get a look behind the curtain with Shawn Spencer in all of his flamboyant episodes that he has. He's taking in information, and one scene in particular is the layout of all of the members on the battlefield.
It still hasn't been found.
Oh, wait, how do you know all that?
Lassie, you want to take this one?
He had an episode in the hallway. Look, I can handle this myself.
Nelson, you're gonna have to speak up. You're teeny.
So add in all this time where he's having his episodes, as Lassie calls them, he can take in information and store it, okay, to reproduce later on. Now the critical thinking that's being bypassed here is that with him not being anywhere in the battlefield, how does he know what's going on when the battlefield is all laid out in front of him? The impression being that nobody could remember something that vast that quickly. Not true. We'll get into that in a second.
You were shot through the heart?
That was privileged information.
I didn't say anything. Are you sure about this? It's both.
I mean, why wouldn't you buffer? I mean, that's...
I'll run with it.
Yeah, thank you.
He says people don't get shot through the heart by accident.
Valid, I would have thought.
He says he was murdered.
You're hired.
You told them what? Josh, she was hot.
Okay, now in that length of time, what is it? It's maybe 2-3 minutes? That's a question for you.
Oh yeah.
By our forefathers, to preserve this union is a sacred trust. What are you guys doing here anyway?
Now,
I'm a bit of a Civil War buff. I'm reading the dirt. The trees, the hot dog stand. No real information there, but
one of the things that goes in tune
suspect.
Like I told you,
with
we're
a strong,
95% sure
stable
it's a
memory
single shooting.
is your confidence in your skill.
If I am
That's
wrong,
one of the
we will
things
press
that, I don't know why I'm
conference,
shouting
you
at the
will be
volume, but
cordially
I can pause. That's one of the things that's one of the overriding qualities in memory work. You have to get to a point where you're that confident in the skills that you've developed with your memory, that there could be X amount of time between what you've seen and what you reproduce, because you're confident enough that you've stored it correctly. Okay, it's like those moments when you come into the house, put your keys down somewhere, go and do something else, and then you've only got to feed yourself that suggestion of, where are my keys? Am I boring you? Scathing retort from Cookie. So you've only got to feed yourself that suggestion of, I don't know where my keys are, for them to become invisible. Okay, because you're not confident enough in the memories that you've stored. So here, Shawn is that confident enough in how he stored them around, and we're going to get into how that can be done in a second.
Seems fair. Hey, can I wear your face wig?
What are you doing?
Shockingly, Lasseter is holding out on us.
He's making a mental masterpiece.
He thinks that this was an accident.
What do you mean?
Masterpiece if you're from the south of England.
What names?
Gus, I thought you'd never ask.
Now he's going through the memories in his head, right? So let's start with that idea. This isn't going to be an exact replica, but let's make a similar founding of random dots that could be people. Okay? Do you get that on the camera?
Yeah.
Okay? So let's say that each one of these dots represents a person that's on the battlefield. Okay? There are a couple of things at play here before you get to doing something like this quick, because you're blurring randomized things, bits of information. That was a burp midway through a sentence. That was impressive. And then you're blending that with the stationary picture of it all. Okay, so let's not forget the fact that this is happening in Shawn's hometown as well, so he's bringing that level of foundational knowledge within here. That would be like somebody scattering things around your house. You know exactly the layout of your house, so when it comes to quickly flashing these bits and pieces that will be strewn about there, it's already going to be easier for you to do because you're familiar with the layout and the surroundings. Okay, so we're going to get into an element that's known as chunking. Okay, chunking is a personal. Personal is one of those native words to my home planet that actually means personal.
Captain Personal.
On a much more personal level. It's one of those personal preferences. I was blending the words. I think that's what it was. I haven't got time for speech. I'm just going over it. I'm getting it all together. Yeah, so it's one of those personal preferences that you're going to have to do based on the layout. It's like the idiosyncrasies of creating the mnemonics in your head. What works for you isn't necessarily going to work for somebody else because you're going to think about it in different ways. So what we can get from here is a layout of 5, a layout of 6, a layout of 6, a layout of 4, and then a layout of 7 in the middle. Let's pretend my circle actually included this lone friend over here. Okay, so now already, instead of remembering the random bits and where they could have possibly been, we've got 5 little homes that are the basis for this. Now, the way I remember mine personally is in clocks. So if each little circle is going... Sorry, should I carry on? Or are you dreaming? Not dreaming anymore, are you? Anyway, right? So these, I have several clocks in here. Okay? Each with different faces. Okay? This one's only got 5 points, this one's only got 7, this one's only got 4, this one's only got 6, and this one's only got 6. This is a different clock because it's straighter though. That's how I'd remember that one. Okay, it's an idiosyncrasies of imagery. Now, I know that based upon the position of these clocks, their position relative to the field itself. Okay, so in recreating it, all I've got to do is, if we were doing this, I've got to recreate the drawing of the field, which I know because I've grown up here. Okay, and then when I'm laying down all of this information, I lay it down on top as I saw it. Put clock number 1 with the 5 points, put clock number 3 with the 4 points up here, put clock number 6 down here, put clock number 6 part 2 with the straighter lengths down here, and then with 7 pieces in the middle. Okay, and then I foundation point the dots from each clock in, get away, rub out the clock outside, and then I've relayed the battlefield. And that would only take maybe a couple of minutes. The irony being, I don't remember where I put my pen lid. Evidently I saw but did not observe. So now this is only going to be presented as a difficult thing to do, okay, because you've got to be comfortable enough to engage with other people, right? So you've got to have tuned in your observational awareness to do this a little bit at a time. Okay, he was killed over here. Next bits of information as I'm talking to I'm flirting with the little lady friend from the episode down here, getting clock number 3. Okay, now clocks is the way that I do it. You don't have to do it that way. You can do it in terms of pictorial numbers based in circles and their positions relative to it. You could do a compass. It's entirely based upon your personal preferences, as I said. And notice I said that one right. Personal preferences, personal preferences, personal preferences. Yeah. Okay. So the key to speed memory work is going to be comfort, and therefore confidence in the techniques you're doing. Idiosyncrasy awareness, let's just call it that. Basically, you're going to be aware of how you internalize the information, and that will only come with this. Okay. And then rest is just regurgitation, as you see that he's doing. Yeah. Drawing out of the landscape as he knows it. Putting in the trees, the different elements. And you'll notice as well, I don't know if I could catch that on this. You'll notice, I'll tell you in a second and we'll go back over it. You'll notice as well that as he's placing them, he's got people next to the trees, he's got people next to the tents. I'm not a Civil War guy, so I don't know if that's what they're called. Okay? So he gets all of these places within a landscape that he already knows. That's how he can rationalize the mnemonics, let's call them. Okay, there was this symbol by the tents, there was this symbol by the trees, there was this symbol by the little creek river, okay, that's dried up. River. With a landscape like this, such as a field, it comes with its own built-in little segments. Okay, so in that sense, that would be something that you don't have to think about as much, because it's going to be information you already know. It's like Bruce used to say, a sculptor doesn't add clay to the mold, he chips away until the truth is revealed. That's what we're doing here. If the things you don't have to recall and still get the whole picture, that's going to make your retention level much stronger. It's like if I were to do this and then cover up this element, because you know how many fingers there are total on my hand, in showing you 2, you get the other 3 for free. Okay? If you were to turn some cards over in a deck and just count the face up ones, you would know how many cards are face down, because you know how many cards are in a deck.
What is this? The battlefield.
Based on what?
The briefing board at the police station.
You did this from memory?
Yes.
You said you saw it for 2 minutes.
Right. 2 whole minutes.
You got problems.
2 whole minutes, right? That's coming from someone who spent a large portion of his life having to study and learning by rote, repetition, okay? So his perception of that time is different. So let's think about this, right? If you're used to the memory techniques, the reality of the length of time you get from 2 minutes. Just my watch is popping up with all sorts of trailers now. Wait for it. So I've started the clock. Now you got a right to be bored. Love you.
Just like peripheral.
Never gonna let me live that way. And there. That was only a minute. Okay? So think about how much information you could realistically take in if you train your brain to do it quickly. Let's use a weird metaphor of concretely, okay, in the terms of what you see, and it would stay there with a concrete sort of firmness and the vividity. So once you understand how you picture things, they remain just as vivid in your head, which is only going to become something that you're used to doing second nature through training methods, through going through as many years practice as he had to with his dad. Okay?
Factoid. Musket is accurate from 30 yards. Poe.
GC?
Boom. That buffered at a really interesting point as well. Because now, what you're seeing here is the basics versus the advanced point. Is my puppy really eating your fish?
Just slowly being devoured.
So yeah, the basics versus the advanced levels, okay? So the basics he's got down without much thought, okay? So he can spend his extra time within that room taking names, taking initials, okay? I'm not going to get into how to do that quickly. I can save that for another video where we can focus on that much more intently. But there are many other YouTube videos and books and instructional elements and memory champions that can do names and initials in seconds, okay? This guy spent 20 odd years, I'm not entirely sure of his perceived age in season 1, but he spent 20 odd years practicing virtually day in, day out to do this type of information without even thinking about it. So conjuring them up together makes perfect sense, okay? You get a more detailed recall based upon that. And if he doesn't tell people that's what he's doing, when he comes out with all this information seemingly off the top of his head, the psychic persona is revealed, right? So what I mean by the extra things for free, okay? So like, say for example, we did this. And then I showed you these cards this way. It's a little too fast. Wow, that's ended up pretty evenly. Couldn't have done that again if I tried. Let's mix them back up. Okay, so this way around. Okay, now you could look at this and count just the face down cards. Therefore, you would know how many face down versus how many are face up if you knew how many cards were here. Let's say there are 20. I haven't counted, but let's say there are 20. Okay, and so let's say there are you know, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I totally meant that. That's skills, right? Okay, so we could look at this and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm getting good at this. So yeah, in knowing that there are 20 cards, I've only got to count 10 face down to know there are 10 face up. But if you flip that on its head, and you would remember this card, 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 and this card, okay? You would know how many are face up, how many are face down, what cards are here, but what cards are face down as well. That comes from the advanced level of the techniques here, which is something that Shawn's doing. He's got the basics of recalling the position of everybody, which gives him the time to get the names as well. Okay, granted, we're taking some form of poetic license here in the terms of it being that fast, because I think you would need a little more than two minutes to get all of the names as well. Okay, he's good, but he's also made up. Let's remember that. Okay, but this is the reality of those methods. So in that sense, he would need a little bit longer, but doing it just as indirectly is going to have the same effect and can be done. Okay, you just have to train yourself to be able to do it.
George Cheslow.
George Cheslow from 6th grade?
So let's not forget as well that ultimately more background knowledge is going to come in the fact that he lives here. Okay, so it might be that they get and I'm going out on a leap here because I don't know, it's never explicitly stated, but it might be that he knows Lassie. Well, no, he knows Lassie within the show, but it might be that Lassie said it's all of the local townspeople, local business owners, or it's all of my college mates, or it's all of this type of people, okay? Which gives Shawn already a foundation to work with, so that I haven't got to remember that GC, there might be 3 or 4 GCs, there might be 2 or 3 that work in the precinct, and if I know that there's no other policeman there other than Lassie, I know if I see a GC, it's going to be the only other GC in town, which in this case is George Cheslow, the dentist. I think it's Barry Kripke that plays him from The Big Bang Theory. Which is an irrelevant point.
George, he's like a dentist now.
Really?
Really?
See you in 6 months.
And that, folks, is how you appear to be psychic around your friends and family. Okay? Don't forget that if you were to throw these parties, okay, you need to give me like a little commission, okay, because you wouldn't be here without me, let's be honest. Okay? If you enjoyed the video, do the liking and the subscribing underneath me, yeah! But in reality, I'm just pointing at my coffee. That's all I'm doing. But yeah, if you liked it, tell me about it. Tell me what you liked, tell me what you didn't, tell me what you want to see in the next videos, tell me what you want to see the Reacts channel breakdown. Okay? Don't be strangers. See you next time.